welcome to another episode of Trap Talk. I'm Zach Nannini, your host. I'm here with Richard Marshall Jr., the one and only Autumn Grand Champion of everything, and our producer, John Slinker. Welcome to the show, everyone.
Hey, how's it going, guys?
So today's agenda is we would like to recap all of the wonderful things that happened at the 75th State Shoot at Nevada. And we would also love to recap the Autumn Grand, also known as the Mostly Ricky Marshall Championship Show. So
the Ricky Show.
So that being said, let's start with Nevada. I heard some great things. Unfortunately, I was unable to attend. I apologize in advance. But next year, I'm working on making that in the calendar because I've heard good things. But I mean, I heard a rumor that you guys were up like 50%. Is that true, John? I mean, tell us where we're at with that.
Yeah, we more than doubled the attendance of last year to this year. So yeah, 100%. We pushed really hard, as everybody knows, because everybody was getting sick of seeing my face out there. But it worked, and a lot of people showed up, and so the numbers were way up. So we were really happy with the result.
Letitia's glad that it's over, so she doesn't have to listen to all them videos.
She doesn't have to listen to me waking up in the middle of the night, October 20th through the 29th. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I was having nightmares about it. I was sleeping in my bed, and I'd just hear your voice, and I'd be like, "Oh, Buckles." And it's great. But hey, it obviously works. And for any of our listeners that are out there listening, John's a great marketing guy, and he knows how to promote. And the reality is the proof was in the pudding. I mean, you could say that it was a lot, but for gun clubs that aren't changing the way they're doing business nowadays, people need a lot of information and they need a lot of touch point for them to actually invest their time and their money. And I think that was evident in the growth of the state shoot, because I can't remember the last time that I heard of any state shoot growing by 50% in a year. I mean, even when Bill Martin did the $100,000 shootout at the Grand, it didn't grow by double.
No.
Mm-hmm.
So, that's a huge, huge accomplishment. And I think a big thank you is in order to you and all the board of directors and Greg and everybody that made that workout.
Yeah, all the sponsors and everything. I mean, it was a great shoot. I'm sorry you couldn't be there, Zach, which, next year you probably won't be there either. Bethel.
It's
we're gonna have to pull up in a van and kidnap him.
I will say I watched your scores. They're rather impressive as always. I don't know if I would have been able to edge you in any of those events, so probably better I just stayed home.
No, listen, this is my first time ever shooting at the Nevada at the Clark County Shooting Complex. I shot for years at Carmichael's old club, and was fortunate to win a car there and win a bunch of stuff. But I tell you, I've taught there several times. Of course, that's how I met John, years ago. Mm-hmm. But the targets were great. The weather was good. Now we did get into the weekend.
Sunday.
It got a little, and what was it? The class singles. It was it blew a little bit, not bad, but
not bad. But
singles, it blew. In and out, but then Sunday, I remember waking up at like 4:45 Sunday morning, and I thought, who's banging on my camper? Oh, it was God. It was the wind.
Right.
Yeah.
I said, this isn't good. So it blew. And John, you can explain a little bit how bad the wind was.
Well, yeah, I tell you, we were tracking the weather all week, and we were very hopeful, and I think that was our first mistake. But Sunday morning when it came in, it was worse than last year, And I was just like, really? We came so close. It was, but yeah, it was blowing. So Ricky you had changed over to our squad because you were getting out early to go to your meeting.
Well,
so Ricky's leading off.
We shot the 50 first.
Right. Yeah, the 50 bird first, right. So, and we survived that. And then it kicked in during the championship handicap. But yeah, it was going pretty good. The birds come out left and they end up right. So those are always the fun ones. But, as others will tell you, Ricky was just dialed in and banging them out. And I mean, I shot one of the worst scores I've ever shot, but I was like, hey, I'm getting to shoot with Ricky Marshall though, so this is fun. You know, this is great.
Yeah.
He's getting to witness my worst score ever, but okay.
In watching the scores, I mean, on Sunday's event, I think, Ricky, correct me if I'm wrong, but you won the Calcutta with an 87. Is that correct or no?
I won the Calcutta with an 86.
Yeah. 86.
It was an 87 Ray Thomas, which was stellar shooting, and I broke 86. And I literally, Zach, I shot and hold on a second. I shot, and got done shooting and threw my stuff in the trailer, grabbed my gun, Tyler's gun, suitcase, Bill Daniels, rolled up. John took my sporting gun to his house, and boom, I jumped in Bill Daniels' truck, and he rushed me to the airport. I was on a flight. So when I landed, I think in Denver or San Antonio, I don't remember which, is when I could look at the scores, and I was like, hey, I got runner up with an 86.
Well, you know, I think people need to understand that when you're shooting in conditions like that, if you win, you win, right? So, like, I think a lot of people get really caught up in this game and, I got to run 100 straight, or it's got to be this big score and this, that, and the other thing. I got news for you, folks. If you go to Martinez, if you go to Florida at the Silver Dollar and it's blowing, if you go to Nevada and it's blowing and it's windy and you go shoot a target that's moving around where the left-hand bird ends up on the right-hand side of the trap house, you're not always going to win with those monster scores. But honestly, and, you know, I'd ask Rick's opinion on this, I feel better about winning on those days than in the Bluebird days. Like, I bet Rick was more proud of winning that with an 86 than, you know, a higher, see, I knew where his heart was, you know, and
yeah.
Well, I agree.
Yeah, it was. So, Zach, and backing up, I go shoot the 50 birder, and I'm shooting with Bullard and Justin, and I broke 41. I broke 20, 21. Jerry Williams broke 2019, and I went in to get my buckles that I had coming to me, and I go in, and Bob goes, "You're high." And I go, "What?" He goes, "You won." And I go, "I won?" And he goes, "Yeah. There was you with a 41. I don't remember. Someone had a 40, and then there was two 39s. And I was like, cool.
But
and then he tells
that
me,
was a good structure, though, because that was a money shoot, right? That 50 bird's a money shoot. So it's just all about taking the cash down. And, in those conditions, like you were saying, Zach, it's about staying in it and just going for every bird that you can.
Anybody could win there. Anybody could win on that type of event. And money-wise, wasn't that like a $2,000 50 bird event, Ricky? Or, I mean, would you mind sharing what you – I mean, I don't know. It was good, right?
It was about 20 – I think – like $2,310, something like that.
It's not bad for 50 birds.
So for people that think about it, you know, a lot of people don't shoot because they're like, I can't run 50. I'm not going to beat Ricky Marshall, and that's why they don't enter an event. You go down to Nevada, he's breaking 41, 42, right? I mean, you could go out there and break that score and get that money. It's there for you. You just got to take the risk, and you've got to hit the targets. I do want to give a shout out to Rich Bullard though, because I heard that he broke 100 that day, and the problem with that for the folks that are listening is there was 150 birds on Sunday.
Yeah, right.
But he that 70-30 100, baby. So RBO8, good job on that.
Let me back you up a little bit. It was actually 30, then 70.
Okay, so he broke the first 30 and then stacked the 100 straight on top of it. Yeah.
Struck the 70.
Yeah. Hey, 100 on a day like that, that's a good score. Yeah.
I can't believe you just threw your buddy under the bus like that.
I love him. You know, him and his hot dogs, I miss that guy. That mustard slipping all the time. I mean,
I tell you, and the one thing about, Nevada State with, we went and shot the handicap, and like I said, the wind was a rocking, it was bad. And, got done. Yes, I won the Calcutta. Ray won the non-resident handicap. I don't remember who. There was a lady that won the in-state with an 80.
Right. That was Layla Tabian.
Yeah.
She was our in-state champion, right?
Yep.
Yeah, so like a mid-yardage shooter, and she took the handicap championship. I mean, she was just over the moon. I mean, she was so excited and so happy. So, but
Yep.
that's what it is. It's staying in it, like you were saying, Zach. And you know, I always remember what Rick used to say about, like, you know, the wind and the rain. It's like, hey, half the competition might have already given up. You're already halfway there. You know,
Well,
so that was really positive.
And that's what people do. And I always try to explain, when you wake up in the morning, the wind's blowing, it's like, okay, now it's just time to really hammer down.
It's all up here. It's all in your ears, guys. It's between them. And, you know, I've got the pleasure of shooting with Ricky for a long time now. And the one thing that I can tell you about him is mentally, he knows how to leave everything behind the line when he walks to the line. I don't care if he's got family issues. I don't care if he's got weather issues or gun issues or whatever. When he walks onto that concrete, I've noticed that he just turns it on and he goes to work and focuses on hitting the target. And I think that's what makes him, you know, the best is the fact that he's so laser focused on one target at a time, one shot at a time, and going from there. We could talk all day about how good Ricky shot that 40 some in the thing, but what I want to know about is more about like the shoot dynamics. I heard you had a poker tournament, which unfortunately Ricky won that too. So you know, go figure. You know, winning the shoot and then winning the poker tournament. That's just
it was quite a day. He ran 100 in the doubles. Then we go in and we have the first annual Nevada State Shoot Poker Tournament that night. So after running 100 in the dubs, he comes in there and wins the poker tournament too.
Yeah,
so
it's
he was having
just
quite a winning day.
They'll be writing about this stuff in books in the future once he's gone.
Everything that they did at the state shoot with, you know, they had free food, you know, free dinners. They had, you know, free
beer.
drinks, the poker tournament, you know, the Calcutta, which Rich ran. If he could explain it beforehand, it'd be better, but that's okay. I just pulled it.
Better explanation next year on that one.
Yeah, just everything was great about the shoot. And I mean everything.
And to take a second, that requires work. Okay, that requires a few people. Yeah. It requires a lot of work from the board of directors. So give them a thank you if you see a shoot run well. 2, it requires sponsorship. So what people don't understand, and I want to take this time to go over it right now, is a shoot generally is not a very profitable endeavor for state associations. I mean, especially these state shoots. By the time you give the regular trophy package, and for what we're throwing on targets and paying the employees, there's not a lot of margin there. And the reality is when you have these amazing trophy packages like Nevada just had, that was not because there's so much money to give that back. That was because a lot of people stepped up to the plate and said, you know what, we want to make this special and we want to do that. And I would urge you, you know, if you're in a position in your life where you love trap shooting and you have the access to some extra funds and you're donating already to other things, I would urge you to donate a little to your state association if they're using it properly. If they're utilizing the funds, right? If you got guys like John and the board and they're building something that's better for everybody and it requires a little bit of capital, I would say do what you can. And it doesn't have to be a lot. I mean, I know every little bit helps, and we get sometimes $100 donations to the MTA, and it helps. It helps a whole heck of a lot to do things better.
Because your target fees are eaten up like instantly, right? So when the target fees come in, that goes to the targets. It goes to whatever part of the trophy package. It goes to the staff, is the scorekeepers, all the other people you have throughout these shoots. So that money is eaten up right away. And I think, if the board has the ability to raise some funds, then that, and like you said, if they use it appropriately, then it can go to making that experience better. And I think what we wanted to show with Nevada was we wanted to show that it is possible, right? It is possible to really kind of up your game, and that was our main goal. But the other thing was that, it is possible to fundraise. It is possible to have a big trophy package. But you're right. It just takes a ton of work. We worked on it constantly for 6 months leading up to it. But I will say this, now that we've done it and we have some of these extra things in place and some of the structures in place, to replicate it next year, I think will be a little bit easier for us because we have a little bit of a framework. So
you've done all the framework, you've done all that on the front end, which helps a lot. I mean, it doesn't doesn't hurt when you have a little bit of a direction and a plan.
Right. And it doesn't hurt that on the board we have someone like Greg Pink, who is like an operational wizard, right? It didn't hurt that me on the marketing side, kind of just having that plan and being able to focus on marketing. And that's where I think the partnership of what happened in Nevada was so good with the board, is that we really had some people who could take on some of these different pieces and lead the way. And that allowed, Greg to focus on the operational side. It allowed me to focus on the marketing side. And really kind of lead into that stuff. But, we did the free food every night. We did the poker tournaments. We want to expand on that. And really our main goal was we want everybody to have fun and make it a worthwhile trip, because
100%.
we have more out-of-state shooters, right, than our in-state shooters. So it was really important to make sure they had it.
Thing that shows the quality of your shoot. Now, to take a step back and to go on to marketing a little bit, because I know there's some shoots that go out, and this is what happens, because I've seen it and I've done it. They raise the money, they buy the better trophy package, they throw the trophies out there, and then they say, well, the attendance wasn't any different than it was last year, so we're going to go back to the way we did it. There needs to be information leading up to the shoot and marketing up to the shoot in order to drive that attendance up, people. If you just, here's some trophies, fight over the trophies, or here's some money, fight over the money, that's not going to draw people in. And what I think, I take my hat off to you, John. For 6 months leading up into this thing, there was a constant update on what you guys were doing, what you were trying to achieve, what was going on, and people were sharing it, and it was becoming viral. And when you operate in that manner, that's going to drive the attendance. It has to be not only the marketing, but the budgetary side too. You can't just market a shoot that doesn't have anything, and you can't just build things and not market. It has to be both.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think a lot of the boards out there, I would say they all have the best intentions, right? They got on the board because they love trap shooting, so you can check that box right away. They have good intentions, but executing on some of this stuff is not that easy to do. And so, what I do is I set up a lot of this stuff in advance. I set it up to go out automatically. So I was able to put a lot of work into things and have them go out on a periodic or frequent basis to keep everybody in the know. Because you have to think about, if someone's going to, let's say it's an out-of-state shooter coming to your state shoot, there's a lot of planning, a lot of decision. Am I going to go there? Am I going to go there? How do I do it? Well, along the way of them making those decisions, we need to be reminding them why it's worth to decide to come to Nevada, for example, right? Here's what we're going to do. You're not only just going to have a lot of events and good trophies, but also we're going to feed you, and also we're going to have this, and we're going to. So I just think it's that frequency that we miss. I think people have a little bit of a set it and forget it mindset, like you just said. Hey, we bought some good trophies. I hope people show up to win them. No. You gotta really remind them and tell them why they should decide to come to your shoot.
100%, you have to do that. Now, I do want to shift the conversation a little bit to Ricky for a second. Ricky, I heard that you had some fantastic students in Nevada. I heard that you did some really good classes and had some good feedback. So, and I also heard that there was a potential that you might come back to the 76 next year. So
potential? In. I got my spot already in. Zach, where you at?
So tell the listeners, if they want to learn from you, how they would set that up going into a shoot. I mean, because you do it a couple days before the shoot, right? You set up clinics and classes there. How does that work?
Hello, Trap Talk listeners. Zach Nannini here, and I'd like to thank our show sponsor, Remington. And today, I would like to go into what shells I use when I'm training and when I'm shooting tournaments. First of all, we start with the gun club. This is a great shell. I shoot an 11.45 ounce and 1/8, and this is what I shoot for singles and both shots of doubles. The only reason I don't shoot this in tournaments is because I like a little bit of a harder shot, a little bit of a harder break, but it works great, and it's the same speed as this STS shell. So this STS shell, a little bit harder shot, figure 8 wad column, smokes the targets a little bit harder. Also, I shoot for singles and doubles, both shots. And then when I go to the back fence and I want to put the smoke on them, I bring out the Nitro 27, ounce and 8, 7.5. It's a 1235 shell. Blast the targets. It works really well. I hope these shells work for you, and I want to thank Remington for supporting Trap Talk.
So I left, just to go back and recap, I left home on Saturday, got in Sunday, literally got out, got parked at like 3 o'clock, and at like 3:45, I was on the line with Orion
Yep.
Cooper. Remember, John? He come out and
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's
cool.
right. Yeah. Right away.
I was
yeah.
literally,
yeah.
I've been there like 30 minutes, and I was already teaching on Sunday.
Hey, Orion Cooper, HAA
Yeah.
champion in state, by the way.
In-state.
Let's not forget that part.
Yep.
The
He was
guy,
all
he
around.
took down the HAA, and he just came in right behind Bullard on the HOA also.
Yep.
So he really performed well, and I think you working with him to keep him in that zone helped a lot. I mean,
Oh, yeah.
the performance he had
gotta
throughout
work.
the shoot.
I got to work with his mind just a little bit. He's got some mental stuff that he gets locked up on, but it's all right. But so I taught
Yeah,
a
me too.
taught a great group.
As we all do.
Yeah, I taught a
right,
great
yeah.
group from Washington. I think all day Monday. It was started at like 9, and I quit at like 4. Different groups, had 3, then 2, then 2, then 1, then 3 type of deal. Then I taught every day, Zach, after I was done shooting, or I didn't start shooting until the overall. Actually, I shot Tuesday's doubles, but I taught a little bit, and then every night. So people can reach out to me beforehand by phone, email, text. Usually phone or text works the best, and set something up at those shoots prior to. But I mean, it was a great shoot. I went one. It was never shot there, and it was the 75th. And with all those videos that John, first put out about all the buckles, I was like, I want to win me a buckle or two. Well, hey, and I got everything in the house finally, but this.
Oh, there we go. There we go.
That
Not
those
bad.
are those, and then of course I won the
Oh yeah.
the
There it
75th
is.
HOA buckle. Now these buckles,
That's a
they're
good-looking
made by
buckle.
Molly's,
They're
and
very nice.
I mean, yes, every buckle is just killer from and the cool thing about this, Zach, and I will say, and I think this is pretty cool that they did this, was they did the super 400 singles.
Yeah,
Okay.
super single, super double, super
They gave a
handicap.
buckle away for that. Okay. They gave a buckle away for the high on the 300 doubles, And I mean, all these buckles though, I mean, they're cool. Everyone
They're very well made. They look classy. They're something that you could show off in a case, and they're also something that you could put on your belt and enjoy. So
like this is a cool. It's all black with the
Yeah, I like
letters
that
from
one.
the singles championship. I mean, it's just.
you're gonna have to start wearing belt buckles now. I mean, you look good, baby.
Hey, listen, I don't think I'm built to wear belt buckles. And right now,
You are a very, very handsome man. Don't say that about yourself. You
don't
look
sell
great in a
yourself
belt
short.
buckle.
I'm just throwing that out there, But
Me and you
Yeah,
need to
and we
work.
did.
We need to spend the next year or two working on building our buckle bodies.
Yeah.
That might be a podcast 2024, 2025 goal. Is me and Ricky working on our physiques a little bit. We'll talk about some tips, eating yogurt and
Yeah.
stuff.
well, but
Right.
so back to the shoot. It was a great event. Like I said, I did lessons the whole time. I really appreciate all the students that reached out to me. They all shot well. Brian from Washington and I tied, and Quentin Sudbury in
That's
the
right.
doubles championship. And I was fortunate to win. Brian was runner-up. So, I mean, that's cool. That, in all honesty, when I'm shooting off against students, I'm always like, man, this is cool. I've helped them. They've made it this far. And then I'm like, you know what? No matter what, I still win if I don't win.
Right.
Unless I'm shooting
Yeah.
off Zach, then I really like, I ain't letting him win. But no, I'm just kidding.
That's cold. That's cold-blooded.
I know.
Cold.
I've been turning a new leaf and being so nice, and then you do something like that.
And I get this. So my coach and mentor was Frank Hoppy. And I remember as a young kid shooting off against Frank for our singles championship in 1992. I was 16 years old. And it came down to me and Frank and Tim Carlisle. And Frank missed. Timmy was 3 years younger than me. I was like, well, I can beat this little kid, And Timmy and I are really good friends, but Frank said it. Everybody gave him crap for getting beat, and he walked back there and he goes, I won. And they're like, what do you mean? He goes, both of them are my students. They beat me, so I'm doing a good job.
Yeah, and it's true. And I think there's something to be said about when you step into the world of instructing, how you want to see other people do well. And I also think that, based on the stack of buckles that Ricky just had in front of him, that, he's doing all right even if he gets beat every once in a while. I personally believe that if you're good at teaching and you're doing a good job at it, you're going to learn from that experience too, because it makes you look at it from a different point of view. And for me, when I've taught before, I go back and I notice things a little quicker when I'm doing them and I'm able to react. Now, if you're not at that level in your game, I don't recommend it, but at some point in time, you start looking at things and seeing things from a different scope of lens when you're watching other people versus when you're just internally analyzing what's going on there.
Yeah.
So overall, it sounds like Nevada was a huge, epic success, and I'm excited to see what it does next year for sure. And I think moving forward, for the people that want to get a hold of Ricky, he's getting busier and busier and busier. And I seen it at Tucson. Yeah. If you can book it in advance and get it on the calendar so that he knows to plan it, because we were trying to do podcasts in Tucson, and one of the big barriers was he had so many lessons that he had to do. So I think, in advance, whenever you're dealing with any instructor, whether it's Ricky or someone else, if you're going to the shoot and you want to seek their advice, don't just show up at the shoot and call them. Try to schedule it in advance so they can be respectful of their time, because they're trying to win. They're trying to compete. They have friends and family that they need to spend time with too. So it's very, very hard when you're working both ends of it, which I've seen Ricky do, and he does it very, very well. And, you can take your hat off to him for that.
Yeah.
Well, it was – I want to say, and I'd like to thank John. John busted his butt the whole time even there. It showed on his shooting, and it does. Trust me. When you're running to shoot or doing stuff, it's tough, and that's why I don't get involved with running this stuff, because
smart move.
it is very difficult.
It's a lot.
Yeah.
It's a lot more.
You were running rampant, doing this, doing that. Oh yeah. Oh sure. Yeah. But I mean, Zach, you would have loved it. But it was probably one of the best state shoots that I've ever been to, hands down.
Awesome. Well, I appreciate you saying that. We appreciate you coming, and I think I'm just going to send out a big thank you to everybody who came, because in Nevada, a lot of our shooters travel in. We had shooters from as far like Wisconsin. We had shooters from Pennsylvania, New York, Florida, Arizona, Utah, all of our Western Zone states really showed up to support us. So a huge thank you out to everybody who came. We were happy to host you. We were happy to feed you. I had a lot of people with big smiles on their face telling us that they were having a great time. And lastly, we just have to do another shout out to the board, because everybody for, 9 days straight grinded to make sure that everybody had a good time. And I think on the shoot side of things, there was the festivities, but also on the shoot side, I think it ran really smooth. We got through shoot-offs really well. We got through, all the business of the shoot really well. A lot of people made a lot of money on the options. We had a lot of option play at the shoot. And the Calcutta was our biggest Calcutta ever. I was fortunate enough to buy a piece of Ricky, so thanks. So that was good. And we're going to do it again next year, and we're going to explain it really well so people understand how it works. So big thank you on Nevada, and we're excited to, do it again next year, and we're looking forward to it. So
yeah, no, I am too. It'll be a great shoot, I'm sure. Like I said, great big shout out to the Nevada State Association, Clark County, everything they did for the shoot. It was great to see Carmichael. Steve was out there, had his book, was doing signings. So, and that was pretty cool.
Sounds good. Yeah. So that being said, we could talk another hour about Nevada, but we do got to get into the Autumn Grand. And unfortunately, it's going to be a lot like the Nevada State shoot. Ricky won a lot of crap again. So we probably don't need to go into too diverse. But that being said,
Hello, Trap Talk listeners. Today's episode is brought to you by Wenig Custom Gun Stocks.
That being said, a custom gun stock is going to elevate your game because you get the same fit every single time.
And I can attest to that. I broke hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of hundreds with my Wenig Custom Gun Stock.
I haven't broke hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of hundreds, Rick, but I did break 100 from the 27 within 7 days of getting my stock, and broke 2 more that year and loved it.
Here, this is.
Okay, do you take it or me?
We'd like to thank Wenig Custom Gun Stocks for supporting Trap Talk.
That being said, everyone knows.
Winners shoot Wenig.
Are we doing the end part?
it was a little windy. We had some good weather. You know, it started out with nice weather in Nevada, but not Nevada, Autumn, Grand Tucson, Arizona. But it did get some points where we shot in the wind. I remember probably the windiest day was either Sunday's handicap, but also we had a good burst of wind on Saturday's singles. I mean, in the first 100. I mean, it was pretty aggressively blowing all week long. I think. Tucson did a great job of running a clean shoot. They didn't seem to have any major trap breakdowns or any kind of major issues with target setting. Mm-hmm. I know Britt Dalton and them guys handled the target setting down there, and from what I seen, they had a very good presentation of targets based on the weather that we were dealing with. And like whenever you're going to a shoot like that and you're dealing with weather, you can only set as good a target as you can set, guys. I mean, you can't get them to do things that the weather won't allow, and I think people need to understand that. And we were shooting in front of us a couple days. There were some people making some major adjustments to the targets, and what I'll say is that generally isn't helping the situation, because you've got you've got wind that's coming and going, right? It's going in, it's going out. You've got it in the face, and then you've got it from the south. When it turns, it's pushing targets down. When it turns the other direction, it's pushing targets up. So if you go out and you look at the targets, and on the 3 targets that you show and call, they're really, really high, well, just wait 30 seconds and they're going to be really, really low, right? So you go out there and then you bump it up 4 or 5 notches, and then boom, they're to the moon, right?
Right.
And you've really kind of hurt yourself more than you've helped yourself. So I'm unless things are consistent, and Rick, you can comment to this, if we have a consistent face wind and things are out of range, then okay, I'm about that, right? Or we have a consistent tailwind and the targets are pushing on the ground and it's consistent, okay, I'm about that too. But when you've got wind that's changing and cycling from high to low to high to low the whole time, what do you think's the right thing to do in that situation, Ricky?
You already know my answer.
I want to hear
Shoot them.
Just shoot them.
Yeah.
I don't think we didn't change one trap down there, did we, all week?
No, I don't think we did.
No,
We had a couple.
in front of us Sunday. We were second squad out Sunday, and the squad in front of us raised that first trap too, and we were like, I was like, "What are you doing?" And Gus,
We shot them, and
they were high, and then boom, you'd get a ducker. But here, I'll just say this one time, and I don't change targets. Why? This is an outdoor sport. It's like Steve Carmichael said when we did his episode. Now, if you remember this, Zach, he said set them to 9 or 10 foot. 50 yards and shoot them. This isn't a preferential shoot where everybody gets to reset their traps to their own liking and all that. That's the problem with a lot of shoots is people resetting targets all the time.
I really do think at some point in time, something that could be beneficial to the sport, and this is obviously above my pay grade. This is at the ATA executive level or the gun club executive level. But I really think that there should be target setting committees that set targets within a range, and then once that range is established, that's the way they shoot. And maybe in some clubs on the East Coast, that's a little flatter. Maybe in the Midwest, it's a little higher. Maybe in the West Coast, it's a little lower. Whatever that might be, at that club, this is the target they shoot. And then you get used to shooting that target. And if you say, hey, these are out of range because the weather changed, or, okay, well, then the target setting committee comes up and they look at it based on whatever criteria they set. And if it's within that range, you shoot them. And if it's without of that range, then okay, hey, this is really messed up. We had some major changes. Can the target setting committee look at this, and what do you think? Yeah, you're right. This is too high by a lot, or this is too low by a lot, and we need to bring them back to where we want them to be because we're the ones that judge. But what I get really frustrated about is when you take a perfectly legal target, it's within the zone, right? And then you say, well, I want to shoot them a little higher. Or, oh, I want to shoot them a little lower. Yeah. My preference, the way I shoot targets the best is I like them on the high side illegal, or I like them on the low side illegal. And at the end of the day, that's not trap shooting. That's set the trap to what I'm used to shooting. and that's just a whole nother sport in itself.
Here, let's just back up to Monday's. Was it Monday's handicap, Zach? That Wyatt won?
Yes. Yeah, and I think it was Monday or Tuesday.
Yeah, Wyatt broke 98. I broke 97. So it was Tuesday. I broke 97, missed one on the last post because the wind blew my big butt. And I don't
know how I did that.
Yeah. Okay. Anyways, no. So we shot those targets, and I don't know if you remember how flat they were.
I do.
And we shot, and some guys go, man, you should have raised those. You should have. Well, Wyatt broke 98, wins it clean, and there was, I think, 4 of us with 97s that day.
On one squad we had the winning score and we had the second high score.
Yeah,
nothing was changed. But I'll tell you, there were some flat ones, but there was high ones too.
But not they were moving, but they were mainly flat. And that's where, now we go to Sunday, our first trap was higher than heck, which we go out and shoot them. I'm not one that, I'm the squad leader. Everybody knows on the squad, if you're shooting with me, don't expect to change targets unless they are illegal.
Right.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
And
I can tell you guys from a tournament director standpoint, it slows the shoot down. Yep. Right. If everybody feels like they have free reign to set a target that they like, you are slowing the shoot down, and then you're complaining on the backside of why aren't we done yet, or why haven't they turned it over yet, right? Yep. So if we all just take a little bit of responsibility there and go, that's a legal bird, let's shoot, right?
Yeah. Or
and like
the conditions,
for the conditions, right? Yeah.
That's the biggest thing that I see growing up here in Nebraska today. I mean, I'm looking outside, wind's blowing about 35.
What are you going to do?
As a kid, that's all I shot in. I would go out when the weather was horrible and shoot a lot. And people are like, why? I'm like, well, you get, stance right, where to hold the gun. I mean, and that's what, so, I end up winning one of the events I win it at the Autumn's, the handicap, okay, on Sunday. It was blowing. But I reverted back to, and for all the listeners out there, you'll hear me say this a lot. Students hear me say this. Revert back to what you've done. Okay? 2 weeks prior, I was in Nevada shooting in a lot worse wind, and I broke 86, which the score's the score. I'm not an average shooter. Okay, yes. Do I carry a high average? Yes. But do I get paid for that high average? No. So I shoot no matter what, always have, always will. All I look at is, was it a win? Did that score get me a win?
Was it a W?
Exactly. I got it right here, the non-resident runner-up buckle. That's what it got me for that 86. And also made me money, too.
Yeah.
Now, I broke 96 at Tucson. I won. Yeah, I was surprised, that 96 was high, but the weather, it is what it is.
I was a little bit surprised myself, but honestly, it was a good score. And it happens.
It was,
and here's the other thing. Maybe in the same weather on Wednesday, there would have been a 97 or a 98. But because it's Sunday on the championship, I feel like people get a little tighter. They go out there and they're like, okay, it's the championship day. And they put that on themselves. Yep. And then, maybe they're on a score and they're like, well, today I need a 97 or a 98. And then when they miss the first two, they automatically defeat themselves and they end up at a 92 or a 91, right? So be very careful about where your mind's going in those types of events. I think the coolest thing I watched all week was we went into the last trap. Ricky was down 4 targets, and nowhere did he say, "Oh, I'm in the hunt," or this, that, other thing. Emotionally, physically, mentally, he went out and broke the last 25, and that was one of the hardest traps I've seen broke all week, just because of the variance of the targets.
Right.
But he wasn't thinking to myself, okay, I'm about to win this event or the all-around or the overall. Or he was just working on one target at a time. And you could tell because he'd get one that went up 30 feet in the air and he'd smoke it. And then he'd get one that was literally off the dirt, riding down there with the snakes, and he'd hit it. So, maybe not smoke it, but he'd hit it. So,
I wasn't looking at break quality on the last trap, but I did say, Wyatt was down 6. And I was, 4.
He had a 93, I think.
Well,
93, 94.
I thought he went 21, 25, 23, 25. I thought he was down 6.
Maybe
he could have been 7. Anyways, going to that last trap, I was like, let's stay in these. I even told Bullard as I walked by Rich. Rich was on 2 and I went to 1. And I said, let's hammer these out. And it was one target at a time. Now, yes, I wasn't thinking about it, but in the back of my mind, I always want to win the overall. At every shoot I attend, that's my number one goal, is to win the HOA. That says who's the best shooter that shoot for that week.
Yeah, you shoot all the targets, all the events, all the conditions. Who broke the most?
I was like, okay, I had an 8-bird league going in, and I was like, you just stay with this, one at a time. And I did. I got down. It was funny, and Zach, you mentioned it to me. You go, when I got to the last post, all he's got to do is break 1 to win the overall. Well, I actually had to break 2, type of deal, because I was on a 6. But anyways, I just said, hey, get to this last post. I had missed on the last post the previous 2 traps, for a 23, missed 2, 24, missed 1. So I was like, and I did. I'd run them out, broke 25. Wyatt broke 25. And I was like, perfect. I did what I wanted to do. Went to break the 5th wheel down, because all of us left our 5th wheels down in Tucson for the winter to go back and forth. And I don't remember who it was that came up while I was sitting there doing stuff and said, hey, you're high. And I'm like, what? I was surprised. And sure enough, went inside and I had a lone 6, and Dennis Bringleson had a 95, and there was another 95. And then I think 5 94s, so that was pretty cool.
There was a lot.
Yeah.
So we had some success on our squad. Wyatt broke a 200 straight in the championship singles.
Yep.
And
Smoked
then,
every one of them. The hardest I've seen him smoke singles, and he smoked out everyone after he made an adjustment because he finally listened to his dad.
well,
Third time's a charm.
He crushed the targets.
Yeah.
It ended up being him, Britt Dalton.
Yep.
What was the guy? Valentine?
Yep. Justin Valentine.
Valentine.
And Billy Sales.
And Billy
Call
Sales.
that.
So
Down to him and Billy.
what I heard, everyone missed in the first box.
Yeah.
And then after that, Wyatt ran 50 straight more, and that was enough to win it. So it ended up being a 3-box deal. But this was, if I believe I'm correct, because I asked him, his second Satellite Grand title. So he said that he won.
Satellite Grand title. Third time, I think it was third in a row, breaking 200 at the Autumn Grand.
Yes, he said he did
And
break
he won because Justin goes, if he doesn't win this, I'm going to remind him of it.
Well, Justin is such a nice, loving father when it comes to reminding you of your mistakes. I can tell you that. He'll remind you. He reminds me of my mistakes. He's not even my dad. I'm like, damn, Justin, thanks.
We love him.
I do. Yeah. I do love Papa Joe. Yeah. He's a good guy.
Yeah. Wyatt was hammering him in that shoot-off, thoe. He was dialed in. He was focused. He got the job done. It was pretty impressive to watch.
We call him.
Very cool.
So I was calling him. He's wearing that bucket hat. So I was calling him Bucket Hat Bill. But we have since changed his name to Barrett's brother.
Yeah, Barrett's brother.
That's right.
Yeah, I don't know if did you hear this. Did you hear the story? during the shoot. Bear was in the single shoot-off also. I think it was for class. And they left a box of shells, and this guy came up, and he's like, hey, these shells are left over there. You're Barrett's brother, right? And it was Wyatt. And Wyatt's like, yeah. And Bear was standing right there. So he's like, oh, it's Barrett's brother. So that I was calling him Barrett's brother then all night Saturday. So
hey,
it kind of.
I'm in for it.
Bear's hilarious, man.
So, Ricky, again, congratulations to you for winning, the handicap, the high overall, the high all around, and the doubles.
Yep.
Have you ever won all 5 satellite? Nice. Yeah, that's a good one. I'm proud of you.
So that was the 4th I've shot in the last 4 in a row satellite grands. I've won the Fiocchi doubles, so which is pretty cool. Since Fiocchi's one of my main sponsors. And I appreciate everything they do for me. The old white rhinos and the shooting dynamics were just slaying targets.
You were hitting them good. I'll give you that.
Yeah.
Now, the one thing I want to know: have you ever won all 5 at a satellite before?
All 5 at one shoot?
Yes.
I don't think so. I think this.
You listen. You'd remember if you did it because you remember everything else. So if you don't know, then it's no. Because I remember when you won the first 25 you ever ran back in odd 6, and you remembered that story. So I was thinking the 4 was the highest you ever did, and now we can make a note of that here in history on the podcast. Is that?
I think 4. I don't know that I've ever won 4 at one, to be honest. I know I won when I broke the 400 at Vernal. I won the handicap all around and overall. I lost, of course, was in the double shoot-off and was in the singles and lost those. But I was trying to think back. I know in Florida one year, I might have won 4 that year. I think I won the singles, the handicap, because I broke a 396 in Florida one year, and I broke a 96 in the doubles championship. But I think I won the singles, the handicap, the all-around, and the overall that year. So it could have been. But I don't even know where those records are anymore, Zach.
Well,
they used to.
I mean, something like that, I'm sure you'd remember. I mean, based on all the other stuff that we remember in our shooting world. But I just thought it was pretty impressive because I don't know, other than Leo, I don't remember anyone ever winning 4 titles at a satellite grand in one shoot. I know I've seen Leo do it for sure. And since I've been alive, I've seen him do it. But as far as 5 at a satellite grand, I don't know if that's ever happened in one year.
I know one year Ray Stafford at the Western Grand at Mitchell's old club in Salt Lake, he broke like a 995 in the overall that year.
Yeah, he won the overall, for sure.
Yeah, he won the overall, and Ray might have won. I don't, and like I said, you'd have to look back. I know
if anyone knows that's listening to the show, send us an email and let us know if you have a data or remembering of anyone winning 5 satellite grand titles at a shoot, because I think it's pretty impressive. I know some people have won 5 state titles at a shoot. I think that's more common. I mean, even our good friend RB08, Rich Bullard, has done that before. So, but as far as satellite titles, I mean, those are a lot bigger shoots, and it's really easy to slip up and miss a target, and be out of the singles or be out of the doubles.
Yeah, we could get a hold of Alyssa with Trap and Field and say, hey, find this out. This would be kind of cool to know, because I don't know if anybody's ever won 5. K might have, up on the Northeast Grand or the Empire.
Yeah, I would think it might have happened in Northeast or Empire or someone up in that area. That would be my guess. Or maybe the Great Lakes Grand. That might be one that could have got popped by somebody.
The Great Lakes. I mean, I remember the one year Leo and I shot together. We were on the cover, and we were shooting on the same squad, and he won the handicap and the all-around. And I think I won the singles, the doubles, and the overall. We won all 5 on our squad. Similar to this with, Wyatt and I, winning everything. So, it's a cool deal. I mean, I was fortunate, to win the doubles, which is my main goal because it's my sponsor. is to win that and the overall, and fortunate to throw in the handicap and the all around, which I didn't get to pick up the overall and all around trophies. I had 1,230 miles to drive, so I was trying to get home. But the trophies, they're just cool. The Mollies, that's the handicap buckle. And
that came out nice. I like how they did the logo on there.
It's very, very nice. And I think overall, I recommend the Autumn Grand for shooters that want to check out a satellite. I will say that I personally did like having the 300 target program the way they did it before, but I also understand with as many shooters as they've got going, it's hard to get 300 targets in a day without it getting the light really bad. So that would be one thing that I really felt was something I really liked about these earlier satellites, because if you're going for points, those more events. I mean, and it's just
points and Zach.
Hey, you gotta go where there's events to go get these points if that's what you're chasing, and it becomes harder to get those if there's less events.
Well, and you got to realize too, Zach, and John will understand this as tournament director in Nevada, because we ran a little late in the class doubles that night there when I broke the 100. Right. And made the comment, and Bullard got mad at me because I said they were tough to see. They were tough to see. I didn't bring 100.
This is a little etiquette for you people listening on the show, okay? If you're ever in the position where you go out and you run a perfect score in an event and the light is questionable or the targets are questionable or anything, a comment you might want to reserve is, man, they were hard to see to your squad mates that were on the lower 80s and 90s. Like Ricky ran 100, and he's like, oh, those were hard to see. Well, really, Ricky, were they hard to see? This guy's missing pairs over here. This guy's shooting 82s.
Zach, listen.
What'd you get out with? Oh, 100? You got out with 100? Oh, okay.
But hey, I'm an honest man. You know that, Zach. Sometimes I say stuff I shouldn't say, but it's all honesty. So here's the thing. Going back to Tucson is they struggle with getting the help that time of year. Autumn Grand, the weather it was 94 and 5 for a couple days. But it was a great shoot all in all. At night it would cool down. We ate really well. My good buddy Dave Mansell.
He fed us well. Yeah.
John got to experience it,
Yeah, it was amazing.
I got to give a shout out to some food while we're talking about food. If you go down to Tucson and you like beef ribs, I would tell you, my buddy John Studley told me to go to a place called Little Abner's. It's about 30 minutes away, and we went and had beef ribs there, and they were excellent. If you guys are a fan of real authentic tacos, there's a place called Tacos Aspen that's about 15 minutes away from the gun club where me and Rich Bullard would get tacos almost every day. And I got to tell you, he's definitely a gringo, because when I seen him with the hot sauce, he put the red one on, and then he ate it, and his face, he turned into a tomato. I was like, that might have been a little too hot, Rich. You're going to have to back it off a little bit.
That's why Rich and Zach disappeared right as soon as the shoot was done. It was taco time.
Exactly.
Tacos for sure. Every time, if you didn't see it, we were eating tacos.
Hey, we could have got so many episodes done, but Zach was too busy eating instead of staying up the ground. So you guys went out to eat. We did join you, John and I and Dave. Nikki joined you and Bullard the one night at Little Abner's. Yeah. But other than that, we ate every night at the Mansell camp.
Well, when you get a chef like Dave Mansell, why would you go anywhere else when you got Dave?
Exactly.
So it was a great time. We had great food, great friends, and we did shoot some really good episodes. So
yes, we did.
I mean, we got Charlie Long. That was fantastic. You guys are going to be looking for that one. We got Jeff Wagner done. He's the treasurer of the ATA. That was a fantastic episode. We got Shelby Skaggs. She's obviously
and we got
in the female category.
Then we got Dad, Jerry Williams.
Jerry Williams. So we got the next month shot at Tucson. So you guys be on the lookout for those episodes. They're coming down the pipeline. They're really good ones. There's a lot of good tips and a lot of good information there. So, that being said, I feel like
one last shout out to Britt Dalton and his dad. Talk about double duty. those guys were running up and down the line, making sure we had good targets, and then Britt was going out there and just inking birds too. So kudos to those guys.
He's one of the only guys I know that can run a shoot and run targets. Like, he went out there and broke 200 on the championship singles, and I watched him, and he was in the center of everything. And that was in between making sure traps were set and making sure everybody was doing their doing. So, hats off to him for that.
That's hard. Yeah.
That is very, very hard, and people don't understand what that's like to compete and to run a gun club, and most people don't do that. So,
so kudos to those guys. They were grinding really hard, and to see Britt and his dad go out there. His dad was in a shoot-off also, which was really cool. Britt was in the same shoot-off, which was really cool. And it was just, I just know from that time it takes in your brain to go make sure everything's right and then go shoot. I just wanted to give a special shout-out to those guys. They really pulled it off. Really good job to those guys.
Well, guys, I think this has been a great episode, a great recap. We want to thank our show sponsors, Remington, Wenig. We want to thank Shot Tracker, getting ready for season 2. If you guys want to be on our show, we're taking some new people on potentially, right, Rick?
Yep.
Maybe thinking about it.
Yep.
So RM Shooting Clinics, the one and only. You're keeping him busy, and I've had a few people call me for some help financially, and I want to say thank you for doing that. It means a lot, and if you need a financial advisor, I'm here to help you guys. So I appreciate you guys spending the time with us today, and we'll catch you next Friday.
Awesome.
See you.
Thanks, everybody.
This podcast is sponsored by the following. Shot Tracker, like having a coach on your barrel. For more info, go to takeaimtech.com. Life is too short to miss. RM Shooting Clinics, helping shooters from coast to coast. Have Ricky take your game to the next level. Zach Nannini at Northwestern Mutual. Trusted advice from someone you know. We believe in putting people first.